Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to try out a new style of video to my channel to review all of the products I used last week. Similar to favorites and fails, but let's do it on a weekly basis and see how I felt about them. So let's get right into this video. This week, I used 4 different sunscreens for my face. The first one is actually the one I have on today. This is the Cell Fusion C Laser Sunscreen 100 SPF 50+ with a PA rating 3+. If you compare my face versus my neck and my hands, these look a little bit more warm, neutral, where my face right now feels very blue compared to everything else. I mean, I do have a lot of pink in my face, so when I put anything with a slight white cast, I go quite purpley blue. This does give me that purpley blue tint, but if I apply one layer, let it dry for about 5 minutes, and for me, that's normally when I'm applying sunscreen on my neck, chest, ears, and backs of my hands or any exposed areas of my body, then I will let everything dry down for that first layer and then repeat another time, starting at the top and going to the bottom. If I do 2 thin layers of this, I find it does really well. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a combination or hybrid sunscreen, meaning there's a mix of your chemical or organic filters and your mineral or inorganic filters. I really enjoy this and it's nice, and I believe I picked this up in a 2-pack on Olive Young, which is a Korean beauty retailer, and this is a Korean beauty sunscreen. Dr.G Mild Up Sun Plus SPF 50+ with a PA rating of 4+, and this is an all mineral, physical, or inorganic sunscreen. This is a really nice one. This does give you a little bit of a brightening or white cast from the mineral filters in the sunscreen, but I find once again, if you apply a thin layer, move on, and then come back after that layer is dried to reapply your second layer, I find this does really well. And all of my sunscreens do well under makeup. That is a non-negotiable for me. I need sunscreens that work with my makeup. If my makeup's not going to work with my sunscreen or vice versa, they don't have a place in my routine because I want everything to play well together, so I don't need to think about what I'm doing on a daily basis. The Dr.G, I find this is one of those sunscreens that if I want to pair a makeup primer with it, it does really well, but it also does really well on its own when I just want to put a foundation concealer on my skin and not worry about having to use a primer. This does really well as a primer protection base. Hero Cosmetics, this is the Force Shield Superlight Sunscreen with a broad spectrum SPF 30. This is another mineral only sunscreen. This one says on the back of the bottle zinc oxide at 17.53%. That means this is a zinc oxide sunscreen, so that is a mineral, physical, or inorganic filter. This sunscreen I really enjoy because this has a little bit of a blue-green cast or tint to it, and it's very reminiscent of the color here on the label, which I really enjoy because on days when I don't want to wear foundation or concealer, I will use this as a skin protecting, priming, neutralizing base. Where I do have rosacea, my face tends to be a little bit more ruddy than the rest of my body. So if I can use something like this to neutralize the red tone, then I can use either a tinted sunscreen or foundation complexion product on top to just make my skin look a little bit more balanced out, which is what I like. Because as you can see, here is a daily makeup for me when I'm not going anywhere. I just have a few errands to run and I'm just gonna be around the house testing product and getting work ready to publish for you all. This is kind of what I do on a daily basis, so I love easy products like this. For days when I do want some tone perfecting, I want a little bit of coverage, this is a sunscreen I will use in place of a foundation. So I will use one of those 3 as my base layer, and normally it is the Hero Force Shield sunscreen. I will allow that to completely dry down. Then I will use my Dr. Sam's Flawless Gossamer Tint in Tint 01. This is a broad spectrum SPF 50 zinc oxide titanium dioxide, so both of our mineral, physical, or inorganic filters, and this is really lovely. Sometimes I feel like the sunscreen is too light. Sometimes I feel like it's a little dark, but over the past week, this has been like a great color match. I really enjoy it. It is quite fair, so I'm gonna put a dot on the back of my hand. So here, actually what we'll do is, here's the Dr. Sam sunscreen, and I'm not gonna fully blend it out because if I fully blend it out, you can see like it just disappears into my skin tone. Here is the Hero Cosmetics sunscreen. Once again, not fully blending out the Hero Cosmetics sunscreen because their sunscreens, once you blend them out, they tend to disappear into the skin. Dr.G, and here is the Cell Fusion. So again, Cell Fusion, Dr.G right here. Then we have the Hero Cosmetics Force Shield and the Dr. Sam. And then once they're blended into the skin, you can't see anything other than they leave a really beautiful glow to the skin. Foundation primers. The one I use the most, the one I have on today, which I sometimes use even when I don't wear foundation, when I want a little bit bit of smoothing and perfecting. Laura Geller Spackle Skin Perfecting Primer in the original clear shade. Once we go to blend in, it's clear, and it just gives the skin a slightly hydrated illumination, which that comes from the moisture in the formula. But once it blends down, all you see is the texture of the skin. Slightly mattified, but not a flat matte. It's very much a your skin but better foundation, which is not overly matte, it's not overly dewy, it's that nice in the middle, or what we refer to in cosmetics as satin. e.l.f. Hydrating Face Primer. So this looks a lot more milky, and when you rub this into the skin, it does not leave a dewy finish at all. If anything, this feels more on the matte side. It's slightly powdery. So if you are someone who is a little bit more oily and you find the Laura Geller can make you look a little too shiny, then you might enjoy the e.l.f. When I want a glow to my skin, I love my Guerlain Meteorites base. A very runny, milky pink primer, and then you blend it out and you get this very gorgeous glow. If you have very dry skin, or you're someone who you feel like your skin maybe is a little crepey, feels lackluster, this is a great primer because this will help to reflect and refract light, so that way things look smoother and it bounces light off at different angles, which is very flattering, especially for skin that is less than perfect. For me though, sometimes when especially the weather gets a little bit warmer, humidity rises, temperature rises, I have normal to oily skin, where my skin, and when it's cooler or drier, is a little bit more balanced. I'm not overly dry, I'm not overly oily. But when the weather gets warmer, things get humid, I start to sweat, and then my skin can start looking a little shiny, which is not something I personally enjoy. This for me is definitely more of a cooler weather product, and I tend to focus it more on the perimeter section of my face where I do want a little bit of a glow, but not quite a liquid highlighter glow. This is really lovely, and this is a product, if I was still a freelance makeup artist, I would use this for people who wanted a little bit of glow but didn't want a full liquid highlighter. One thing to note is this does have a pretty prominent fragrance. It's a soft, powdery floral. If anything, this reminds me of a very subtle version of the Meteorites fragrance, but I find it leans a little bit more towards the scent of the Encelance EDT version, which I love. Favorite illuminating primer, Chanel LeBlanc Rosy Light Drop. This is a product I always forget to talk about because this is one that lives with me in my washroom, it's on my desk, or it's in a travel bag, because this is such an easy liquid highlight and it's versatile. If you were someone who is very dull, dehydrated skin and you feel like your skin prep and priming doesn't do enough to give the skin the added boost of radiance that you need, try using this under your foundation. If you want to add an infusion of glow to your foundation product, you can mix this with a liquid foundation, concealer, or even a moisturizer for a little extra luminosity. And if you want a very subtle highlight, you could use this on top of your complexion products to give a soft glow to the skin. I really enjoy this, and it gives a very beautiful sheen. One thing to note about this does have a more neutral to cool pink undertone, which means it's going to pull a little ashy if your skin is overtly warm or golden. And I find if you're really anyone over a medium to medium tan skin tone, this can also pull a little grayish on the skin. So if you want the added glow, but you don't want any potential ashy cast to the skin, I would try using this under or as a mix-in product. The Flower Beauty Supernova Celestial Priming Whip. This is a really beautiful product. When you dispense this, it is a muted lavender color with a subtle golden pearl. As you start to rub and blend, it does tone down and the golden shimmer becomes a little bit more prominent. You can kind of see it gives a very neutral glow to the skin. I have moments where I really like it, and then I have days like today where I feel like the golden shimmer is a little too prominent and it smells a little bit like a synthetic floral. Almost, it reminds me of a very synthetic lavender mixed with a magnolia. Like, it's a foremost lavender with magnolia in the background. I have no idea what this scent is, but that's what it smells like to me. When I first got this, I really enjoyed it. I don't feel the same sense of excitement and joy when I use it. Does that mean I'm going to declutter it? No, because like I said, sometimes I love it, sometimes not so much. But this is one of the last couple months where I've added it into my regular routine 13. I just feel a little underwhelmed. I'm over halfway finished with this product, so I'm gonna keep hanging on to it, keep using it, and if this video goes well, we will have more updates on products like this. AURIC Glow Lust, and I do have a little bit of this on my cheeks today. This is the reformulated version of Morganite, sometimes lovingly called Morganite 2.0. On the back of the hand, it looks pretty much like a foundation. Compared to most foundations, it does have a little bit more of a viscous texture, softly blended out. You can see it's a very reminiscent shade of my skin tone. It does put a little bit more peach and a slightly warmer peach versus pink, but as I blend, it shears out. So they're fully blended out. It looks like really smooth skin. It's very lovely. Foundation, concealer, any product that you want to put on top of it does apply very, very well. I really enjoy it. I resisted buying this because I thought the AURIC Glow Lust was going to be very similar to something like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter or then the Lisa Eldridge Elevated Glow. I've gone through 2 or 3 bottles of the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I like it. In my Sephora levels list, I have shade 1 on there to possibly repurchase in the future. To be honest, when I think about it, I do like the Lisa Eldridge one a lot. The Lisa Eldridge is here at my desk. I reach for it on occasion, but if I think down to it, I reach for the AURIC Glow Lust or the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Glotion more often than I do this. The L'Oreal Lumi Glotion is actually in my washroom right now because I just keep it in there because if I forget to do makeup in my office or I just want something quick and easy to do really quickly, I keep it under my sink to throw on a little bit of glow if my foundation or sunscreen is feeling a little too matte that day. This week, I've really only reached for 3 foundations. I have used more than these 3 foundations this week. I have recorded a couple videos because I'm playing catch up where I had lost some video files while I was away. But on the days where I've gone out and done something, these are the 3 foundations I've reached for. And the first one is the No. 1 de Chanel foundation. Mine looks scrubby because I have not cleaned it yet this week. So there is a dot of the No. 1 de Chanel foundation in the shade BR12. Roughly blended out, you can see it's a little bit darker, a little bit more peachy than my skin. However, if I fully blend it out, and then especially on my face, when it's combating with the redness that I have, it blends out really easily and it looks pretty much flush with my skin. On the back of my hand, it is about a half a shade darker, so you can see a slight demarcation around it. This is my second bottle now, and I love it so much. My other holy grail foundation from 2022 was the Laura Geller Baked Balance-n-Brighten Powder Foundation, and I use the shade Porcelain. This is still my first one, and I use this even more frequently than the No. 1 de Chanel. Possibly I'm a little bit more light-handed with powder foundation. In the pan, you have a mix. When they're blended together, you get that, wow. Okay, so let me try to build it up a little bit because I don't feel like you're gonna be able to see it that well. This is, can you kind of see that right there? A little bit more pinky than my skin when applied heavy, but blended out, it is pretty much my exact skin tone. That is why I love this powder foundation so much. It is one of the best color matches I have found for my skin tone. Keep in mind, my skin tone is fair to light with a neutral leaning cool undertone. And this for me is just such an easy powder foundation. It doesn't matter what brush I use. It doesn't matter if I'm applying it over a sunscreen, over a primer, if I'm using a concealer in conjunction or not. It is just an easy powder foundation. When my skin feels dry, I can use this. When it feels really oily, is it going to completely obliterate the oil and shine? No. But is it going to soften it and feel comfortable on my skin on a high humidity day? 100%. I love this. And if we continue doing this weekly check-in series, you're going to probably see this in 90% of them because it is that good. Another old favorite powder foundation, the bareMinerals Matte Formula. I wear shade 01 Fair. I love this foundation so much. If I'm not mistaken, I began using bareMinerals powder foundation in 2013. Here we are 10 years later and I still have it in my collection. I used the bareMinerals matte foundation on my wedding day, a reliable powder foundation. Once again, you can't see it. If you really inspect the color, it does pull a slight bit more orange than my skin, but on my face with my redness, you're not going to notice much of anything. I'm going to try to build up the color just to see it a little bit more. Right there, it's going to look slightly darker, but when you blend it in, you're not going to notice anything. There's really only 3 powder foundations I love for applying all over my face. That's my Laura Geller, my bareMinerals, and my MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation when I want more coverage. For concealer, I have 3. Most days I use at least 2 of these concealers. First and foremost, Ulta Beauty Youthful Glow Concealer in the shade Fair. There is a heavy swatch very close to my skin tone. It is a little bit more peachy than my skin tone, but for my under eyes where I can get a little bit of a blue-purple discoloration, like I don't have foundation or concealer under my eyes today. You can see right here on the inner corner and the most hollow point of my under eyes, I do have a little bit of a blue-purple. That slight peachiness in this concealer helps to even this out. This concealer is very much the tinted moisturizer of the concealer world. Are you gonna get a full glam, full beat coverage out of it? No. You are gonna get this second skin light, medium coverage concealer that looks like your skin. It moves with your skin. It creases very minimally on me at around the 5-hour mark, but it is a reliable formula. Also very reliable, Revlon Color Stay Skin Awakening 24-hour concealer, and I use shade 002 Universal Brightener. There is a heavy swatch. You can see it's definitely pink. Brightening shades for your concealers or correctors, they tend to have a pinky peach undertone. So for me though, I can use this to brighten up, but when I blend it, it's another one. It melds with my skin pretty well. It definitely is more pink, but when I use it in conjunction with one of these, or if I use it under my products as a corrector, it works really well. bareMinerals Multitasking Concealer with Broad Spectrum SPF 20, and I have the shade Bisque. A loose powder formula. I've applied it right down here. Let me see if I can. There we go. It definitely looks darker, but once you take a fluffy brush and really blend it into the skin, it blends out extremely well, and it is so smoothing. If I have a day I don't want to really take the time to neutralize my face, I'm gonna play with the natural ruddiness of my skin, but I want to tone down any dark shadows or just make things look a little bit smoother, I will use this under my eyes, right here in the nasolabial fold, and sometimes right here on the outer perimeters of my chin. I find that just makes my skin look smooth, brighter, and just awake. Now, if you're someone who has a slightly warmer undertone, if you're more on that neutral to warm golden side, the shade Well Rested is stunning. For me, it looks very yellow, so I like the shade Bisque. Brand One Size Beauty. This is the makeup line from Patrick Starr, and this is called the Turn Up the Base Versatile Powder Foundation in shade Light 1R. This sat in my makeup collection for about 6 months after I bought it, because I bought it to do as a foundation review, and when I tried this Sephora Color IQ, it matched me to shade Light 1R. I put it on, I was way too dark. It is significantly darker than my skin tone, as I will show you here. So pressed powder foundation, way too dark for me. When I put it all over my face, it felt very nice, felt very smoothing and very perfecting, but it didn't feel heavy. What could I do with this? So what I began doing with this is I will use it very lightly, blend it out, and it becomes a really natural looking powder bronzer. Powder foundation, you get a little bit more coverage, and it helps to meld everything in because it is something that is naturally occurring with your skin. Because you know, our skin is a melange of colors. We'll have areas that are more red, more pink, more purple, more gray, lighter, darker. For me, this is a little bit more red and a little bit darker than my overall skin tone. So as a bronzer, this works extremely well. From Chanel, this is the Poudre Lumiere, or the powder highlighter, in shade number 40 White Opal. I love this so much. Really beautiful, pale, silver, leaning pink, blended out. It's so beautiful and subtle. If you want something that is really strong in your face, this is not gonna be the one for you. If you're someone who has a more neutral to cool undertone skin, and you're on the fair to light spectrum of skin tones, this is so beautiful. From Clé de Peau. This is the Luminizing Fancy Enhancer in shade number 14, which is Delicate Pink. Looks like this. It's a pinch darker than my skin tone, so you're not going to see anything much, but if I turn to the side, you'll see it does pull slightly darker. When the light's hitting it, it looks perfectly normal. Also from Clé de Peau. So this is from the Holiday 2021 collection with the beautiful cardinals, flowers, and sheep, but the color is what got me on this one. So here you have a mix of a different pastel. So you have a pink, blue, yellow pastel with a slight off-white. So you can see this looks even more icy than the Chanel, but it's so beautiful. Clé de Peau number 14 Delicate Pink, Chanel number 40 White Opal, and then down here is Clé de Peau, and this is number 103 Wonderful Radiance. Saturday, I went out for brunch with some of my girlfriends and my husband, and I was wearing the Clé de Peau. And then we were leaving, and he's like, oh, your makeup looks really nice. He's like, you're using a different highlighter than normal. I'm like, tell me more. What do you notice about this? How does it compare to my normal ones? He's like, it looks nice. He's like, it's smoother. It's more refined than the other highlighters you wear. I'm like, and then he's like, what are you wearing? I'm like, does it look expensive or does it look more affordable? He's like, I'm gonna say expensive with that reaction. And then I was like, okay, yeah, it's Clé de Peau. And he's like, wow, so it's expensive. Like, it's expensive. I'm like, it is. So that was our fun point of the day. But it's very expensive looking on the skin. It's very refined. I believe in Canada, these are gonna set you back about $120. That's a lot. But highlighters, they tend to, if you use them sparingly and just apply it to the high points, they will last you quite a while. And I really like them. I mean, clearly I have two. I enjoy them. Between the two shades, I prefer this one, but where this is limited edition, I use it very sparingly. So this is my preferred color, but this color is equally beautiful. So the first blush I used is from Flower Beauty. This is the Gel Crush Lip and Cheek color in the shade Strawberry Crush. Cream in a stick form. Really beautiful. Is this the most long-lasting color? No. Is it beautiful and affordable? Yes. I picked this up at CVS when I was in Roanoke, and I believe this was around 10 American dollars. Not bad at all. Next blush I used is from Gucci. This is the Gucci blush in 01 Silky Rose. Looks like that. So I'm gonna put that one right here. Similar vein of color to the one from Flower Beauty, but this is a powder and it's a little bit more warm. So this is gonna be a neutral leaning warm peachy pink or coral pink. It wouldn't be a normal week if I did not use my Dior Backstage Rosy Glow blush. This is 001 Pink. I have talked about this, I feel like ad nauseum on my channel. So this is even cooler than the one from Flower Beauty, and it is a lot cool. It's definitely cooler than the one from Gucci, but it is really lovely and stays on pretty well. It's a little bit different on everyone. I love it. When I want to be a little bit more subdued, a little bit more demure, I've been reaching for NARS and Passion. It's in a similar vein to the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow, but it's more neutral. So it has a little bit more of a dusty quality to it. One way I like to do it is I will use this all over and then I will pop the Backstage Rosy Glow right on the apple. So pretty. So this is a duo I used in one of my most recent videos. This is from the brand 2AN. This is their Duo Cheek in the shade Love Rosy. So you have a light, warm rosy pink and a slightly darker one. This formula is so silky on the skin. It is so smooth and it's equally smoothing. So here's a lighter shade, here's the darker shade. You can see it blurs texture so immaculately. And this is the backhand, even this one, if I turn it just right, you can see the little tiny rippling on the knuckle. But overall, for the back of the hand being as rough and textured as it is, that formula looks beautiful. So 2AN Love Rosy, I've wanted for quite a while. And I purchased it when I was in Virginia. Sephora was having a sale and I finally used it this weekend, and oh my goodness, I almost had like a mini panic attack because I was getting ready to leave the house. I'm like, oh, let's add a little bit more color. I grabbed this and I'm like, oh no, I've messed up. This is the Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush in the shade She's a Doll. So the way you apply this is Patrick Ta suggests using the powder. You apply this first. I'm sitting there trying to blend it out because I'm like, oh my goodness, I was not expecting that. This is a lot. It took me a minute, but I was able to blend it out. And then you go on top with the cream formula, which is equally as pink. I ended up using the Jane Iredale Chiseled Powder Brush with my Laura Geller Powder Foundation to blend out this Patrick Ta Powder Blush shade. And I'm just trying to blend and diffuse it out. So after blending out, there's the Patrick Ta powder and the cream. You can see, even though it's a cream, it's a little bit stiffer. It doesn't have the emollients that most creams would. And if you really work with it, you can sheer it out. It's beautiful. It looked really nice. It stayed extremely well on my skin. There was just a learning curve. It was a lot more intense than what I was expecting, which is never a bad thing. I like a good punchy blush, but I need to be in the right mood for it. Eyes were really simple this week. I only used one eye primer. That was my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. So I'm gonna put that right here. here. Similar to my skin tone, slightly darker, great for balancing out any blue, purple, or red tones on the eye. If you apply it very thinly, take the time, spread it out, work it in, it stays all day. It hangs on to shadow really well. Jillian Dempsey, this is a lid tint in the shade Lilac. I'll put this one right here. It's a little bit cooler and a little bit more on that muted purple lilac side compared to the MAC Paint Pot and Painterly. My issue with this is it doesn't dry down no matter what steps I take to work with it, whether I try to powder on top of it, powder under it, apply it over top of an eye primer, no matter what I try, it creases in about 30 minutes for me and it just gets worse throughout the day. So if you're gonna use it for effect and a picture, it's really pretty. If you're gonna use it as an eyeshadow to put on in the morning and hope it lasts all day, it's not gonna really hang around, which is unfortunate because it's pretty, but I wouldn't repurchase it. The IT Cosmetics Superhero No Tug Shadow Stick. I have the shade Transformative Taupe. It is more of a neutral taupe, so it's not too warm, it's not too cool. However, when you blend it out, it does look a little bit warmer. It is really, really beautiful. I feel like it's a shade that would work really well on anyone. The Lisa Eldridge. This is, I believe these are called the Liquid Lorax, and I have the shade Bianca. Of all of the Lisa Eldridge products I've purchased, this is what I've used the most. Really pretty. This is a slightly cooler rose gold metallic. I put this on, throw on a mascara, and we're done. Call it a day. Another one I love for a very similar reason is from Ulta Beauty. This is the, what is this called? Bouncy eyeshadow in the shade Macaron. Very similar to the Lisa Eldridge, much more subtle and a little bit more neutral, leaning warm, but it's such a beautiful color. I have now gifted this exact color to 4 people and all of my friends love it. You can get these at Ulta. They're often on sale. I believe they're between $8 and $10. So wonderful. And I've purchased other shades, but I don't reach for them. That's the only one I use. So I feel like I'm gonna pass along the other shades I have to people that will use them a little bit more frequently because the formula is gorgeous, but Macaron is the one for me. Brand Rom&nd Better Than Eyes eyeshadow quad in the shade Dry Strawberry, Peach and Pink. Very subtle, milky pink and peach shade, really beautiful. And then the lower 2 shades, which is a brown and a shimmery top coat. Very subtle. A lot of K-beauty eyeshadow formulas are going to be a lot more subtle, but that is something I love because you can build them up to make them intense, or you can wear them very sheer. And if you're not perfect with your application, it's okay because they give you that forgiveness. It's so pleasant and easy to work with. I love them so much. And only mascara I use this week is my Roman Han All Fix mascara in the shade 02 Long Ash. Really, really beautiful. This is hitting its 3 months soon, so I need to get a replacement mascara. So this week I only used a lip liner twice. Once was one day when I was thinking about doing a really great pairing. It did not work out with that pairing. I'll talk about that in just a moment. And then today, this is the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in the shade Pillow Talk. You can see mine's getting quite low. And it's a very neutral, leaning warm rose mauve pink. It's pretty basic. It's a very dupeable color, especially now. It's nice, but I'm not as awestruck with it as I once was. It's nice. Go-to everyday lip colors are from Burt's Bees. These are the Lip Shimmer. In my spring pastel video, I talked about the shade Watermelon. Really beautiful, very minty, tingly, freshening balm. So the shade Watermelon. My personal favorite, the one I have on today, is the shade Peony. Slightly warmer, neutral warm pink peach color. Really beautiful. So Burt's Bees, Lip Shimmer, Watermelon, and Peony. I've been trying to get my use out of the Hermes Rosy Lip Perfector in the shade number 49 Rosy Tan. This is a very sheer formula, but here it is. It's a very neutral, slightly cool rosy brown. Is it worth $100? No, no way. Would never spend that much money on it again. The day I pulled out the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk was the day I reached for my bareMinerals Mineralist lipstick in the shade Grace. And I want to love this color, but it's just not the perfect color for me. It pulls very orange on my lips. So here is bareMinerals Mineralist lipstick. Yes, Mineralist Hydra Smoothing Lipstick in the shade Grace. If you are into seasonal color and you are a soft summer or soft autumn, check this color out. It's beautiful. I got mine on Ulta during the Black Friday sale week and I paid $10 for this. If you can get it on sale, it's great. The formula is beautiful. Color is just a little too warm, too muted for me, and it just kind of makes me feel blah. Rom&nd Zero Velvet Lip Tint in the shade number 18 Petal Tassel. Rom&nd Zero Lip Tint in Petal Tassel. So pretty. And then I used my MAC Love Me Liquid Color in the shade Hey Frenchie. So there is Hey Frenchie. Now, with both of these colors, the Petal Tassel and Hey Frenchie, I shear them out. So I will take one dot, use my finger, and really shear out the color, and then go on top with something like the Burt's Bees Peony to give it a little bit more of a neutral feeling. Really beautiful either way though. The Maybelline Lifter Gloss in the shade 002 Ice. So ice, oops. I have stained my applicator. So ice, it's pretty much a slightly warm, leaning clear pink. My Chanel Rouge Cocoa Gloss in the shade 792 Aphrodite. It doesn't get better than that. I love it so much. Looks blue, and when you swat, mostly clear with a slightly blue tint. And then when I want to add a pop of pink and make things super glossy, I used my Dior Lip Glow Oil in the shade 001, which is pink. Stick to pinky shades that are a little bit more neutrally and cool, and gloss up with a slightly clear lip gloss. Very, very simple in how I like my overall complexion to look throughout the week. And let's finish off with something I just cannot get enough of lately. That is fragrance. I love a good scented body lotion to kind of set the mood, start the day, whether I am applying it in the morning to kind of create a base layer for whatever perfume I apply, or if I'm getting the mood ready to go to bed and just want to put myself in a relaxing state. In the morning, I've been loving the fairly new Bath & Body Works Gingham Vibrant. This has notes of wild blackberries, candied violet, and soft vanilla. This is beautiful. My husband describes it as a lavender floral cake. It is so wonderful, and it does give you a little bit of an uplifted feel. It's very pleasant, very easy. It's not offensive. It's just easy and likable, and I love it. I feel like it's perfect for spring. Also from Bath & Body Works, this is the Ultimate Hydrating Body Cream in the scent Amethyst Waves. This has notes of dream berries, wild blooms, and soft sandalwood. It is so cozy and cocooning for bedtime, and it's a little heavier. It's a little bit more musky. It does have a sweet, comforting note to it, which I really enjoy. And this layered with my favorite bedtime fragrance is a match made in heaven. I wear this every single night without fail, and I need to get a replacement bottle, but I'm like, let's try out a different bedtime perfume. I love this so much. This is from Sarah Jessica Parker, and this is lovely. I'm gonna put a card up on the screen either here or here with the different notes in it, but when I smell this, I just get a wonderful lavender, musk, sandalwood note. Maybe not sandalwood, but it's definitely woody. It's like wood, musk, and lavender. So comforting, so easy. I purchased this at Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada for $21.99 because every so often we'll have these end caps where they will have different fragrances, and they're all $21.99. So I purchased this one for $21.99, and I love it, worth every penny. And I will repurchase this when this runs out because I am just over halfway finished with this. One of my favorite products to layer with during the day or in the evening when I just want to use my unscented CeraVe Hydrating Body Moisturizer and I don't want to use the Bath & Body Works body cream, I will layer on Body Shop Black Musk. I had a sales associate help me when I was in store. She was so sweet and suggested this to me because my husband had been telling me I need to check out the Body Shop's White Musk, and it's a classic, but it is not a classic for me. I found it very like off-putting when I smelled it. Even powered through letting it dry down, I couldn't do it. I had to scrub it off. On the other hand, Body Shop's Black Musk, a warm, creamy musk. It's slightly sweet, and it's not an animalic musk. It's more of that kind of warm cashmere musk. This is definitely going to be more of an autumn winter scent, but now early spring layered with something a little bit more boosty and bright. It is beautiful, and I like the perfume oil for layering. So Body Shop Black Musk, something I cannot get enough of, and it's actually something that I will repurchase too. And it was a total blind buy, and if I'm being totally transparent, I purchased it because it was cheap. This is from Ariana Grande, and this is Ari, and it has this like little pom-pom puffball on it. Now, here in Canada, this retails for $72. This is the largest size, which is 100 ml or 3.4 fluid ounces. I purchased this when I was in the States. I was scrolling through Amazon one day, and I was able to stack promo codes. I paid $14 US, and I was like, hey, for $14, if it smells horrible, I'm not out. It does not smell horrible. A musk meets marshmallow fluff. So if I pair this on top of the Body Shop Black Musk, it is sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's not like you get a cavity smelling it. It is beautiful. Most Ariana Grande fragrances will have marshmallow in it. And to be honest, this is the first Ariana Grande fragrance I bought. And then since I purchased this, I did purchase one of her other perfumes that are popular. We'll talk about in another video, and a body spray. And I have another one, my eye on it, because I smell it every time I'm at Shoppers Drug Mart. And it's wonderful. For a celebrity fragrance range, her perfumes are really nice, and all of her fragrances are a little bit on the sweeter side. They all have marshmallow in the base, but they are really nice, and they're not juvenile. They're just very unoffensive. And this one is my favorite. Like, if I don't know what to wear or want something easy that is gonna act like a body spray that's not gonna have that offensive projection or feel overwhelming, it's such an easy to reach for. And if you can get it on a sale, go for it. I feel like it's a mass pleasing scent. Now, when I want something a little bit more unexpected or a little bit something that just feels very evening, and this lives in my bag. Replica by Maison Margiela, and this is called On a Date. I received this as a birthday present from one of my really, really good friends. She is the one who got me into niche perfumery, so thank you. The packaging says, On a Date, Provence 2014. Fragrance description is grapes and roses. Style description, memory and fragrance. There's something familiar. It reminds me of something I've smelled in the past. This memory of how I wanted Estee Lauder Sensuous to smell. Now, I've said in other videos, I love Estee Lauder Sensuous Nude, and I will repurchase it as long as it's in production. This reminds me of the original Sensuous, not in the way that it smelled when I did wear it, but the way I wanted it to smell, the way I hoped it smelled. That one, it just never really worked out for me. This definitely has a little bit of a grapey note or grape feeling when it dries down. I don't get a lot of the rose, but it's very pleasant, very easy to wear, and I find it very enjoyable. I love this so much. So thank you to the friend who gifted me this for my birthday. I love it, and I have the full-size bottle in my Sephora love list to pick up possibly during this upcoming spring savings event. My most recent fragrance purchase that I can't get enough of, I just raved about this in my last video. This is from the brand MDCI Paris, and this is called Le Revitalizing, and it is beautiful. Again, I will paste all the notes on the screen. It makes me so happy. This is not going to be a strong, heavy-hitting fragrance. I wore this out Saturday behind the knees on the ankles because I wore a cropped pant where the ankle is visible because we were at 7 degrees Celsius, which is, what is that, high 40s, low 50s Fahrenheit. But I was so ready for spring. I'm like, we are going to show ankles today. So sprayed a little bit on my ankle, and it's very subtle. And it was funny because I walked over to brunch with one of my girlfriends and my husband, and she was wearing a mix of 2 perfumes I love. She was wearing Maison Francis Kurkdjian Feminine Pluriel mixed with Armani Privé Rose Milano, which have Rose Milano. Feminine Pluriel is on my wish list, and my husband was like, you two smell vaguely similar, and we're like, thanks. What are you wearing? And that's when we talked about our combinations, but they're both really beautiful, lightweight, non-offensive, elevated fragrances. They do lean slightly feminine. You do get that kind of cozy, vintagey, powdered floral, but they are just so wonderful. While it does feel slightly reminiscent of Maison Francis Kurkdjian Feminine Pluriel, I feel like they are different to have have both in your collection. This definitely feels a little bit more cool weather than that one, where that one feels like it's almost a little bit more warm weather or more intimate setting appropriate. This for me is a beautiful signature scent. I will continue to reach for it all year long, and when I run out, I will repurchase without a second thought. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I am going to end the video here because we have finished talking about everything, and I feel like this is gonna be a long video. So thank you all so much for hanging out to the end with me. If you made it this far, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you've tried these products. Is there anything you want to try? What is your scent of the day? And is this something that you would like me to continue sharing here on my channel? If you were interested, I would love to do this because I love just talking with you, my friends, telling you about the stuff I've tried throughout the week, because I'm making an effort not to buy as much stuff because there's so many beautiful products I have in my collection that I keep when I buy things. They just get buried, and I don't want to lose sight of what I have, what's good. Something brings me joy, and I think you'll love it. As my friend, I want to share that with you. So if you enjoyed this, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if this is something you would like me to continue doing here on my channel. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, y'all.